What if your next vacation destination could kill you? Would you still go, just for the thrill, the photo, or the story? This video isn't about bucket list beaches or Instagrammable views. It's about the top 5 most dangerous places on Earth tourists should never visit, places where the air is toxic, the ground is unstable, or conflict could erupt at any moment. So, why Chernobyl? Because decades after the explosion, parts of it still pulse with deadly radiation. Why the Congo? Because it's not just about wildlife, it's a deadly mix of Ebola, armed rebels, and kidnappings. Gaza? Because it's an active war zone where missiles don't come with a warning. Fukushima? Because what you can't see, radiation, can hurt you long after you've left. And the Danakil Depression? Because it's Earth's furnace, with poisonous gases, volcanic heat, and border conflict all in one. Curious? Good. But before you start planning anything risky, stay with us, because understanding the danger might just save your life. 5. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia, extreme environment plus political unrest. What if I told you there's a place on Earth that looks like another planet, and feels even hotter than hell? Welcome to the Danakil Depression, a surreal and deadly region in northeastern Ethiopia that few people dare to visit. So, what makes it so dangerous? First, the heat. The Danakil Depression holds the record as one of the hottest inhabited places on Earth, with temperatures soaring up to 55 degrees Celsius, 131 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to fry an egg on a rock, literally. Combined with suffocating humidity and almost no shade or water, it's a heatwave that never ends. Then there are the toxic emissions. This region is one of the most volcanically active zones on the planet, home to acidic hot springs, lava lakes, and gas-spewing fissures. Gases like sulfur dioxide and chlorine fill the air. Breathing them without protection can cause serious respiratory issues, and the vibrant, alien-like colors of the pools are actually caused by deadly chemical reactions. Now throw in political unrest. The Danakil sits near the border with Eritrea, a zone historically plagued by conflict and armed groups. Travel here means navigating a militarized zone where safety can change in seconds. Many foreign governments advise against all non-essential travel to the area. So, why do some adventurers still go? Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's the bizarre beauty. But here's the truth, staying alive is more important than getting the perfect photo. Fun fact? Parts of the Danakil Depression sit 100 meters below sea level, making it one of the lowest, and deadliest, points on Earth. 4. Fukushima Exclusion Zone, Japan, Radiation, Japan, land of cherry blossoms, neon-lit cities, ancient temples, and sushi so good it could change your life. From the vibrant streets of Tokyo to the serene beauty of Kyoto's bamboo forests, Japan offers some of the most unforgettable experiences on the planet. But not everything in Japan is a safe travel dream. Just a few hundred kilometers north of Tokyo lies a place tourists should never explore without serious caution, the Fukushima Exclusion Zone. So what happened there? In March 2011, a massive 9.0 magnitude earthquake triggered a tsunami that struck the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. 3 nuclear reactors melted down, releasing radioactive material into the air, sea, and soil. It was the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. Today, some towns have reopened, but the exclusion zone, especially within a 20-kilometer radius of the plant, remains highly contaminated. Radiation levels in some places are still unsafe for extended exposure. And yet, a growing trend in dark tourism has drawn curious travelers seeking a glimpse of the ruins. Some even walk into abandoned homes, schools, and shops. But here's the truth, exposure to radiation isn't always immediate or visible. It builds silently, and long-term effects include increased risks of cancer and organ damage. Even short visits to the wrong spot can be dangerous without proper gear or guidance. So, should you go? No, absolutely not. Why risk your life when Japan has so much else to offer? Hike Mount Fuji. Visit Nara's Deer Park. Soak in an onsen in Hakone. There's beauty in Japan that doesn't glow in the dark. 3. Gaza Strip, Palestine. What happens when a narrow strip of land becomes the center of one of the world's longest, deadliest conflicts? Let's talk about the Gaza Strip, a densely populated region that has become a war zone no tourist should ever step into. So, who's fighting in Gaza? Primarily, it's the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, the militant group that governs Gaza. But it's far more complex than two sides. Multiple armed factions, political tensions, and decades of history have made it one of the most unstable regions on Earth. Now, let's talk numbers. Since late 2023, the conflict has escalated dramatically, leading to thousands of civilian casualties. The estimated economic cost of the conflict in Gaza alone has exceeded $20 billion, with infrastructure like hospitals, homes, and schools reduced to rubble. And it's not just about bombs. Electricity is limited to just a few hours per day. Clean water and food are scarce. Over 2 million people live in this small region, half of them children, many without access to basic necessities. For tourists? It's not just unsafe, it's life-threatening. Military strikes can happen at any time, anywhere. Foreigners are at high risk of being caught in crossfire or detained. There's no functioning tourism infrastructure, no safe zones, and very limited access to emergency medical help. Even seasoned journalists and aid workers struggle to operate there. So, no matter how curious or well-meaning your intentions are, Gaza is not a place for tourism. It's a humanitarian crisis zone. 2. Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Have you ever wondered how a place can be both beautiful and deadly at the same time? Let's talk about the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, a region known for its natural beauty, but also for being one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The area is home to the Virunga National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, famous for its mountain gorillas and incredible wildlife. But while it's a haven for nature lovers, it's also a hotspot for active Ebola zones, militia violence, kidnappings, and poaching. First, let's break down active Ebola zones. Since 1976, the DRC has had over 10 outbreaks of Ebola, a deadly virus that causes fever, bleeding, and organ failure. In the past few years, Ebola has spread to multiple regions, killing hundreds, with a fatality rate as high as 90% in some cases. Next, there's the issue of militia violence. Armed groups like the M23 rebels and Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, regularly clash with government forces. These groups often target civilians, causing widespread fear, displacement, and death. More than 5 million people have been displaced due to ongoing conflict in the DRC. Kidnappings are another significant risk, especially for foreigners. In 2018, a U.S. tourist was kidnapped and later rescued, but such incidents aren't uncommon. Lastly, poaching remains rampant in Virunga, threatening endangered species like gorillas. Armed poachers often engage in violent attacks, making it dangerous for both wildlife and humans. Despite its beauty, the eastern DRC is not a place to visit unless absolutely necessary. The combination of disease, violence, and wildlife dangers makes it one of the most unstable regions in the world. 1. Chernobyl exclusion zone, Ukraine. Have you ever wondered what happens when an entire city is frozen in time because of radiation? Let's talk about the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine, one of the most radioactive and dangerous places on Earth. But first, what exactly is radiation poisoning? Radiation poisoning, also known as acute radiation syndrome, happens when you're exposed to large amounts of ionizing radiation. It damages your cells and organs, and depending on the dose, it can lead to nausea, burns, cancer, or even death. So, why is Chernobyl still dangerous nearly 40 years after the disaster? Back in April 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded during a safety test gone horribly wrong. The blast released 400 times more radiation than the Hiroshima atomic bomb. This radioactive cloud spread across Europe, but the worst contamination stayed local. Entire towns were evacuated. Over 100,000 people were permanently displaced. Today, the Chernobyl exclusion zone spans 2,600 square kilometers. Some parts, like Pripyat, are eerie tourist attractions. But areas like the Red Forest are still so radioactive that just minutes of exposure could be harmful. Think about this. A lethal dose of radiation is about 4 to 5 sieverts. In some hotspots, the radiation levels reach 10 to 20 microsieverts per hour, not instantly fatal, but definitely not safe. And now, with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, military activity has stirred up radioactive dust, increasing the danger once again. So, should you visit? Honestly, it's not worth the risk. Some places are meant to be remembered, not re-entered.